Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to do chapter 7, chapter 7. Today we're going to do chapter 1, lesson 7. So chapter 1, remember we're talking place value. Make this so you can actually see it. So place value. It's lesson 7, which is comparing decimals. So compare decimals. And a couple of you have been asking, why do you have to take math chapter notes? And the reason is because that's part of our assignment and we are getting ready for the middle school and this is what they do there as well. And we're making this resource finder so we have everything in there. Okay. So here we go. When we are comparing decimals, we need to first realize that a decimal is a number that comes between a whole number and another whole number. So for example, I'm going to use my workspace right here. If I had the number 4 and I had the number 5, there would be a number line between the 4 and the 5. All right? Bye, Miss Kim. So between the 4 and the 5. So in the very, very middle, this would be the halfway point. So this is 4.5. The decimal way of writing that is 4 5/10. So 4.5. And, okay, I had to shut the door because there was people coming in all the time and we're in the middle of math. Okay, so I think I was saying that the middle of 4, the whole number 4 and the whole number 5, that there's all these numbers in between. So this is 4.5, which is 4.5. So let's say that I have, I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one right here, when I get to this is actually going to be 5. So I'm going to move that 5 over to this. This is a 5. Okay, so this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, I did it right. So this is 1/10. And this would be 2/10. This would be 3/10. 4/10. And 1/2 is equal to 5/10. So those of you who know your fractions really well will understand what I'm saying. And for those of you who don't, I'm going to go over it one more time. But all these little numbers in between are the numbers between the 4, the whole number 4, and the whole number 5. These are all the little pieces. Okay, so let's go over into our notes and try to make this a little less confusing. All right, so we'll just make a little number line right here. So I'm going to draw a line. You should be drawing this line as well. It's going to look like this. All right, in my number line, this is a 0. And in my number line, this is a 1. So that means anything in here is going to be between 0 and 1. So again, I'm going to put a little line right here, and this is going to be my halfway point. So this is 0, so because there's 0 whole numbers, and 5/10. So 5/10 is going to go there. All right? That means that I have 0 and 5/10. Okay? So now I'm going to go in here and put those same lines. So I'm separating this into 4, putting 4 little lines, which gives us, again, the 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, and back to 5/10. And then we have, I'm going to write 4 more lines here. So now we have 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10. And 10/10 is equivalent to 1. Okay, so now, again, pause me if you need to so that you can catch up. So now, let's say I have a point right here. So if I say, how much is that worth? You're going to tell me it's worth 7/10. So it's worth 0.7. Okay, so now let's look at something. If I have the number 0.7, which is equivalent to writing 0.7. They're totally equivalent. Make a better 7 here. If I have 7/10 and I have 4/10, we need to compare these. So we know that 0 is our smallest number, our least number. 1 is our greatest number. So as we move this way, our numbers get greater. Okay, so as we move towards the bigger 1, the numbers are going to get greater. So now if we're comparing these, we find 7/10 on the number line. And we also have to find 4/10 on the number line. And we look and say, which one's bigger? 4/10 or 7/10? Well, 7/10 is closer to 1, so that's definitely going to be greater. All right, so now let's do one more, and then we'll go into a couple on our assignment for today. So let's do 0 and 6/10, and we'll do 0 and 9/10. So which one's greater this time? Well, looking at our number line, 6 comes first and the 9 comes after, so the 9 is going to be greater. All right, now these are easy so far, but there's going to be some that are hard. In fact, this one is on your math work and it's number 13. So let's do number 13. So let's write down these numbers. I'm going to write a line right here just so it kind of feels like it's separated. You don't have to do that. Okay? But I'm going to write down 0 and 62/100. Remember, this is straight off of number 13. And then you've got your circle here. You don't have to write the circle, but they did. And then you also have 0 and 26/100. Well, the way that you compare these is actually exactly like how we compared whole numbers the other day. So you look at the first number on the left and you say, oh, they're both zeros, so those are the same. And then we have a decimal point, same. But now we have a 6 and a 2, so the 6 is definitely going to be the greater number. All right, so right now on number 13, you can go ahead and put 13 because we just compared these. Okay. Now let's look at something. I'm going to get this a little closer so we can look at it carefully. If you don't like to do the method like I just did where you try to move to the side, you can also rewrite the numbers. So for number 8, we'll just rewrite the numbers 0.652. So 0 and 652 thousandths. And then you can put the number directly over here, directly underneath it. And you need to make sure you line up the decimal points because you can't compare something if your decimal points aren't lined up in this method. So now you would write down this number. So the 0 comes first and then the 6, 4, 7. So now you can go here and start and go, oh, both zeros, so those don't matter. Both sixes, both decimal points, that doesn't help us. Both sixes doesn't help us, but hey, this 5 is bigger than the 4. So he's greater than. Okay. So that's how you do this bottom section. Let's do one up in the top area. We'll do number 3. So you have 4 and 4/10, and they want you to compare it to 4 and 1/10. Well, we didn't read the directions, so that's not a good idea. So we're going to plot each decimal on the number line. So that's job 1 is to do the number line. Job 2 is to write greater than, less than, or equal to in the box so that it's a true sentence. So job 1, I'm going to point 4.4. I'm going to plot 4.4. So this is how you plot it. You just put a little dot. And then you go to 4.1 and you put a dot. And now it's clear that 4.4 would definitely be greater. All right. And that's what you're doing. Let me make sure there's nothing. Yep, on the back you have a couple of questions that you need to answer. The hot problems, it sounds like in 4th grade those were not done, but you're not in 4th grade anymore. So you will need to do these, okay? All right. Oh, I'm glad I'm looking at this. Number 18 is really tricky. Let's do 18 together. And then when I have lots of people calling us into our Zoom meetings tomorrow, then we'll know that you guys didn't watch the video. So they want to know how many times greater is 46 than 0.46, so 46 hundredths. And it says explain to your friend. Well, in this case, Miss Val and I are your teachers, so you can go ahead and write, or your paper is your teacher, and you can write it down to there. So this is how you know. If I have the number 46 and I have the number 0.46, I want to make these equal. But, oh my goodness, the only way I can make this into 46 is by moving the decimal point over, and I can do that by multiplying this number by some stuff, okay? So if I take 0.46, 46 hundredths, and I multiply it by 10, multiply this by 10, that's actually, let's do the math. You don't really have to because this is one of these really cool tricks, but I'll show you this in a minute. So I'm going to multiply this by 10. So I say 6 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, 0 times 0 is 0. Go to my next line, and I have 0, my hero. Then I do 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 0 is 0. And remember how we add that up now? So 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 6 is 6, 0 plus 4 is 4, and a 0. So now, the way that this works is when you have a decimal point in multiplication, you count the number of spots over that the decimal point is in the number. So it's 1, 2. Now we go down here and we go 1, 2. So my new number is 4.60. But that still doesn't get me to here. However, if I was to multiply this by one more 0, it would actually make this number 10 times bigger, so I would move it over, and our number would be 46. Now, that's a lot. And it's work I don't want to have to do because it gets confusing to me. So what I can do instead is use the power of 10. And the power of 10 says if this number and this number are the same except for the decimal point, then all I have to do to make this number into this one is multiply this by the number of spots I need to move the decimal point over to make it match. So I would need to move the decimal point over 1, 2 spots to make this be 46. So how many times greater is 46 than 0.46? It's 100 times greater. And it's super confusing, but this is coming in a lesson, so I don't want to over confuse you. And I know this is really hard over here. So all you need to know is all we had to do was move the decimal point 1, 2 spots over to make this number match this. So then you would say 1, 2 zeros. And again, super confusing and super hard. Don't worry if that makes absolutely no sense to you. At least the brain is moving. You guys are starting to think about what I'm saying, and you might have a better understanding when we come up with this in a couple of weeks, or a couple of days, actually. It's very soon. All right, good luck. Don't forget I need a picture of your math paper front and back and your chapter notes, please. Thank you.